We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more. We're going to win so much. I love you all.
Hello out there. We're on the air. Happy Friday, folks. Happy Friday. That was a clip of Donald Trump. That was actually a request, believe it or not. So we've been doing the Bitcoin jukebox for the rescue dogs. We've had quite a bit of support for that in such a small amount of time. But that was a request from our good friend Daniel to start the show with that. He didn't want a song. He wanted Donald J. Trump to be telling us that we're going to get tired of winning. And it feels like that way, doesn't it? It does to me. It feels like things almost seem too good to be true right now. It's kind of weird. But you know what? We have to get used to it. We're pretty used to living in a society and a system that's meant to keep us down. But we're moving into a society and a system that's going to unlock everything for us. So it is not Tuesday, which means that Jason did send in a zap of 10,000 sats for that request. So thank you, Jason, for that. I see Zapstream's working this morning. Letha's over there. I topped up the balance. The rent has been paid. So let's carry on. So thank you to Daniel, and thank you to everybody who's been contributing to the Rescue Dog Fund. I just set up a nostr and pub last night for the rescue dogs. And let me check. We got a decent amount in the wallet actually already in a very small amount of time. We might just have requests every day. We're only supposed to do it on Tuesdays, but I made a rule that if you zap 10,000 sats, you get next day service, next day request. So in less than 24 hours, we've raised 17,000 sats. What the hell's going on? Arnie. Arnie's feeling in a Friday mood today. 17,000 sats so far. Plus, I think we had, how much do we have over here? Jesus. Plus, we have 82,000. So we're pretty close to, we might even be over 100,000 already for the Rescue Dog Fund. So that is 2 thumbs up. Notice I got my new hoodie on today too. I'm king on king today. I wore this on, I was on Robin Sayers' show yesterday, and I wore this. I figured I'd get King some free exposure. So threw it back on today. Why not? Okay, we got Duncan over in the chat as well. I missed our 88 sats comment. I was going to give it to Ian. Ian won, I think. Something's going on here. Arnie. Guy, man. That guy. So Ian won the contest earlier in the week or last week, one of the two. But he didn't have a lightning address. I think Ian, you sent me a Bitcoin address. So you got to make sure it's a lightning address. You need a lightning URL. If you don't have one, this is for Ian, this is for everybody out there. If you don't have a lightning address, just go to coinos.io. And you can set up a lightning address there for free. Arnie's up to something. He's on the hunt. So anyways, Ian is the winner today of the 88 sats. Start the show. Happy Friday, people. Work hard, earn fiat, stack sats, and live in the future. Cheers to that. We've had quite a few people joining the Living in the Future community in the last couple of weeks, which is good. It is the best Bitcoin community that exists. That's my opinion on it. Could a little bit biased for sure, but man, there's some good people, and there's some very knowledgeable, intelligent, and very helpful people in that community. So if you're a Bitcoiner, if you're looking for a place to hang out, check out the Living the Future. You can try it for a month, or you can try it free for a week or for a month. I mean, worst case, you lose $5. That's your risk, $5. And if you like it, you might be there for a while. You never know what's going to come from that, whether it's a new venture, whether it's a new relationship. It could be anything. And as a Bitcoiner, I'm sure most can relate that it is a pretty lonely place sometimes. So it's nice. There's probably 80 plus people in there now. Just a bunch of people just a bunch of Bitcoiners talking about Bitcoin all day, helping each other, coming up with ideas, troubleshooting. It's amazing, truly. Anarcho is one of those Living the Future members. Bitcoin is freedom. Oh, yeah. Oh, man, I'm pumped. We're going to be on, or I'm going to be on Fractal Bitcoin show this afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be me, Fractal Bitcoin, and Jerry Loves Freedom. I just found that out yesterday. I didn't know Jerry was going to be on the show. That's the rumor anyways. So I'm pumped. I'm absolutely pumped. It's going to be such a fun show this afternoon. I'm going to have a couple beers. I said if Bitcoin hits 100K during the show, I will shotgun a beer. So I'm going to have one ready to go. Daniel says, still can't see the zaps. Too much winning. Well, that's a loss for Sat's Zap stream, but yeah, let me just check things out here. I can't see it over there either. I wonder what caused that. I wonder if there's something to do with my settings. I did have to create a new account. Anyways, let's get to some comments here. Today is No Agenda Friday. I titled it Bitcoin is about to explode because we're nipping. We're sniffing. At 100K. Me and Arnie are in a very similar mood today. We're sniffing at 100K. And once we hit 100K, there's absolutely no turning back. People are like, oh, it's going to hit 100, then crash. No, it's not. It's going to hit 100, then it's going to hit 120 in about 10 minutes probably. 100K is the number. That's what's going to get people's attention. That's going to bring in a whole bunch of new money into Bitcoin. And it could be today. It could be on the show today. So anyways, hey, there's Arnie. Oh, look at this. Hi, buddy. What are you doing out there? You're making a huge racket, man. We're trying to do a show here. Wow. What a nice surprise. What a nice surprise from Arnie. Okay, anyways, back to what I was saying. This is No Agenda Friday, just like we do every week, where we have no agenda. I have nothing written down. I have nothing in my head. We're just going to go off of the comments here. I got a couple old videos. I've been stacking things up this week, and it seems like we've hardly touched on anything news related. So if worse comes to worse, we'll talk about that stuff. But if you have anything to discuss, you have any questions, any controversial takes, throw them in the chat and we will discuss. Fridays are for. That's what Fridays are for. By the way, one last thing here. This hoodie, this King hoodie, the King, is now available on knggolf, our website. So if you want to be very well dressed, if you want to look good, if you want to be warm, or if you need a Christmas gift, you can go to knggolf, knggolf.ca, and I'll bring it up on the screen here for you. It's great. It's almost too cheap. Oh, what did I do here? It's almost priced too low, in my opinion. Inflation is soaring here in Canada. Look at that. I mean, you can see it on me right now, but what a hoodie. Available in black and gray. Gray ones are really nice. It's kind of hard to tell in the picture, but those ones are very, very nice. $69 Canadian. Seems low. We've had soaring inflation here in Canada, but we've kept all of our hoodies at the same price, which is $69. So knggolf.ca. If you're a golfer or you just like good quality stuff, check it out. Timber Crasher, good morning. One of our Bitcoin journeymen. Another one of our Bitcoin journeymen, Duncan, is in the chat this morning. Future's looking bright. Is it ever? Is it ever? I want to talk about that. I'll write that down, actually. I want to talk about a post that I made last night. Oh, we got something on the agenda now. Good morning, Lori. Rocket ship, $sign eyes. Checks out. Oh, we got Brennan in the chat. Good morning. Buck 52,000. Game 808. Charlie Dunn says, did you watch the Peter Schiff versus Robert Breedlove debate? I did not. I'm kind of done with Peter Schiff. I think that what he's doing is not right. It's not right. Because he knows damn well. He knows damn well what he's doing. He does. He's not an idiot. He's a pretty intelligent guy, honestly. And he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows that he's the villain of the Bitcoiners. He knows it's going to drive a lot of traffic to his platforms, but he's harming other people. He's giving horrible advice to people. And how many people have lost out on Bitcoin because they were fans of Peter Schiff just for his own selfish gains? So I don't pay any attention to Peter Schiff. He's a fucking douchebag, in my opinion. What? Not allowed to say that, are we? Jason, good morning, my friend. Great to see you today. Jack, did I see Sailor on CNBC? I don't know. He's been on there quite a bit. Like, was it today, this morning or something? Okay, Daniel said he topped up 500 sats. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate that. And Letha says, I bought a hoodie for my husband for Christmas. Yes, she did. One of the King hoodies. Not this one. This one wasn't available at the time of purchase, but she got a nice one too. Just the much simpler version of this one. Okay, what do we got here? We got 64 people watching. We got 30 likes. What? Come on, folks. We can do better than that. We got a big day. We're going to hit 100K today. We got the morning show. We got an afternoon show on Fractal Bitcoin. We're talking about Bitcoin all day today. All day. You're either... Oh, look who it is. What's up? Trying to get on the show or what? Have a seat. You can hang out. We'd like to have you. Oh my goodness. 2 visits in one day. Do you want to say anything to the people? You can hang out in here. You can hang. As long as you're not whining. Nathan says, you're either betting on Bitcoin or betting on the dollar. I am not betting on the dollar. All right, there you go, Arnie. There you go. Oh. Yeah, the dollar is on a one-way, unavoidable path to collapse. And if you can find somebody who disagrees with that, I would love to meet them. I would love to meet somebody who thinks that the fiat dollar is going to somehow turn around. They're going to magically pay off $36 trillion worth of debt. People are going to regain their trust in the dollar. It's gone. It's done. It's already dead. We're just watching it play out now. That's kind of where we are, but that's the opportunity for us. Jason says, got to chew through a big sell wall at 100K. Could take a bit. Well, hopefully it happens today. Hopefully it happens on the live stream this morning or this afternoon. But yeah, I saw that. I saw that there's a bunch of sell orders at 100, which is stupid. Anybody with a sell order at $100,000, like that's the starting point here. Who would be selling that? But I mean, at the same time, you have to keep in mind that pretty much 100% of people holding Bitcoin right now are in profits. Some bought at 30,000, some bought at 3,000, some bought at 90,000. But 100% of the people who hold Bitcoin right now are in a profit position. So that means that there's going to be selling. Not everybody has the conviction or the understanding and the knowledge of Bitcoin to know where this thing is going. And they see it as a, I'm up 20% on Bitcoin this month. I'm going to cash it out. they're still in the mindset of trading Bitcoin for fiat, trading real money for fake money. And that'll eventually fade. The people who feel that way will eventually fade as we move forward here. But that's just the reality of where we are today. Oh, we got another reminder here. Look at all this. Thank you, Duncan. Thank you, Rick. Smash the like yet? The real question is, have you zapped yet? Have you zapped yet? And I got Arnie's wallet right here. So if you send a zap to this wallet, this address, we will see it on the show. We'll see it live. And there's the address for people who don't have access to the QR code. So let's see. Let's see if somebody will test it out. Holy moly. Okay. John Nash Satoshi. I don't know who John Nash is. The white paper from the future. Who's John Nash? What did I miss here? How fast do we go to $1 million if they push through the SBR? You know, I don't think we're going to go from like $100,000 to $1 million in a month or something. But who knows? You know, the first magic number here is 100K. I think that's going to bring a lot of interest. I think it's going to really explode once that happens. And the cool thing is that there's a lot of different things happening here in the next couple months. A lot. There's going to be some big time announcements. I saw that Hong Kong was in the process, or there was rumblings that Hong Kong was developing their own Bitcoin strategic reserve right now. There's another country in the Middle East, I believe, who's going to be announcing how much Bitcoin they have in early December. There's Thanksgiving. People are going to be talking with family, showing each other their Bitcoin balance, their gains. And then Christmas, same kind of thing. And then, of course, in January, Donald J. Trump comes in and executive orders a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Hey, there you go. Look at that. Oh, somebody just sent in 1,000 sats. If you send in a zap on here, on the YouTube Zap machine, make sure you say who it's from. Leave a description or a comment or something. But thank you. Whoever just sent 1,000 sats to Arnie, thank you. So, yeah, I mean, I think that we'll blast past 100,000 pretty quick, but it'll probably take a while. But then once we get to $1 million, that's the catalyst. That's the third thing that's going to happen. And I talked about this, I think, earlier in the week. I talked about this on Robin's podcast yesterday, but I said there's 3 things that need to happen where nobody will know what the price of Bitcoin is anymore. 3 things. Number 1 is Wall Street is allowed to play in the game, which they already are. Number 2 is the US develops a strategic Bitcoin reserve, the most influential country on the planet, which could happen in January, maybe June, maybe not. But I'm not betting against it. Definitely not priced in yet. And number 3 is when we hit $1 million in Bitcoin, when 1 Bitcoin equals $1 million, that means that 1 sat is equal to 1 cent. So all of a sudden, Bitcoin turns into this thing that's completely unaffordable to most people, because most people see Bitcoin, they're like $98,000. I don't even have $90 in my bank account. I'm not going to pay any sort of attention to Bitcoin. Who cares? Those dicks, they can do whatever they want. But then it gets to 1 cent. Then we start measuring things in sats. And that's where everything changes, because all of a sudden it's 1 cent. You can afford 1 sat for 1 cent. Well, I'm going to buy 30,000 of those. I can get a whole lot of sats. Nobody thinks like that right now. Like, nobody thinks like that right now. But then they see they can get 1 sat for 1 cent. And then all of a sudden it goes to 2 cents per sat, to 10 cents per sat, to $1 per sat. And all of a sudden, from 1 cent to $1, we just moved from 1 million to 100 million. That's when things are really going to move. That's when we're not going to know what the price of Bitcoin is anymore. And I really don't think it's going to take that long. If you watched the flood video the other day, that's how things happen. That's how things move. That's how exponential growth kicks in. Soka says, last couple times I have zapped the stream, I've noticed the sats are going through a Coinos address. Is this right? It's hard to tell now that we can't see the zaps at the top of the channel. Yes, it did. They're directed towards Coinos address now, because I had to create a new Zapstream account. Let me log into my Coinos account here for the show. Okay, so let's see what we got here. 8. So we got November 22nd. Somebody sent in a 4.2 thousand zap this morning. Thank you for that. Guessing that was Daniel? I don't know. If you're watching in zaps, let me know who sent in the 4.2K sat zap. And somebody just sent 1,000 there as well. So thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all. Brennan says, the bear pundits amaze me. They are so convinced that we're all dumb and they are the adults in the room. Yet all the smartest people in the world own it. Well, let's talk about this, because I completely agree with this. And if we'll take it one step further too. Here, I'll get this banner off the screen. This isn't a fucking infomercial. This isn't an infomercial. This is a Bitcoin show. Okay, let me check it. Let me check this out. Daniel said I sent in the 1K zap. Thank you, Daniel. Soka says, so the missing zap counter at the top of the channel is a Zapstream issue. Yeah, I can't see it anywhere. I'm on SatsGG and Zapstream, and neither of it are showing it. So I don't know. Still very, very, very early. That's the thing we got to keep in mind here. So we got to have some patience. Anyways, let's get back to Brennan's comment here. I wanted to talk about this a little later, but we'll do it now. We'll do it now. So Brennan says, the bear pundits amaze me. They're so convinced that we're all dumb and they are the adults in the room. Yet all the smartest people in the world own Bitcoin. Okay. So I'm sure you guys have heard, I think it was Greg Foss that actually coined this phrase. And he said that Bitcoin is an IQ test, which sounds very arrogant, especially if it's a Bitcoiner who's saying it. But it's true. And the reason I say, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily true in the sense that one group is intelligent, one group is dumb. There's just different mentalities and thinking. That's all it is. And so if you think about how the difference between Bitcoiners and people who don't own Bitcoin, pre-coiners, how they think. One think it's okay that a small group of people have access to a money printer, and they can print some for themselves. They can print some for their friends. They decide where the money goes to. People who don't hold Bitcoin, either they don't even know what is happening or they believe that that's okay. Bitcoiners, on the other hand, believe that you need a sound money standard. Money has to be hard. The hardest money we've ever had before was gold, and things were pretty well on a gold standard. Up until 1913, when they created the Federal Reserve, things were pretty good. That was the most prosperous time in our known history anyways, when we were on that standard, when we had a hard money. So that's what Bitcoiners believe. But you take it one step further from gold, Bitcoin is far superior to gold because it's inelastic of demand, which means that no matter how many people want to hold Bitcoin, no matter how many people are trying to buy Bitcoin, we cannot create more Bitcoin. So one side is okay with printing money, one side is not. But if you think about the mentality there and the proof of work, and if Bitcoin does what we think it's going to do in terms of reprice everything, think about who's holding the wealth, the future wealth right now. It's Bitcoiners. And those people, all of those Bitcoiners believe in proof of work. They've done the work to understand Bitcoin. So not only do they believe in the proof of work protocol, but they believe in order to understand something, in order to actually earn something, you have to put in the work. You have to put in the time. You have to understand this thing. It's not easy to do. It takes time. So those people, those Bitcoiners, the people who believe in a proof of work world are going to be the ones who are holding the wealth. They're going to have the influence in the future. And think about how different society is going to look when you have people like that who are influencing people versus the vampires, the corruption, the centralized parties that we're used to living in now for the last 100 years. The fiat is the root cause of everything that's wrong with society right now. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people feel it, but they don't know that it's money that's causing that. So all of a sudden you have this flip from the vampires, the corruption, the centralized people running and influencing the world versus the people who believe that you have to put in energy, you have to put in work to create money. You can't just print it. And those are two much different paths, much different societies. So I wouldn't say it's like an IQ test, but it is a major change in people's view of the world and the long-term vision of the world. And the fiat has trickled into our food, our health, the quality of everything, our products, our infrastructure. Whereas you flip that on its head, and all of a sudden we start eating better, we start living better, we start making better quality products, not just the cheapest we can find. And that flows into the infrastructure too. Houses aren't built in 6 months. Nothing's built in 6 months. The only way that happens is if you're using the cheapest materials and you're cutting corners. So we're going to move away from that. It's going to take a little bit of time, but when Bitcoiners have the wealth, when Bitcoiners have the influence, the world's going to look much different. So don't think about it as like smart and not smart people. Think about it as like two different visions of the world. One's cheap, centralized, fast as you can, exploiting. And then the other side is fair, honest, open, long-term view, high quality, proof of work. It's much different, much different. Dutchie, 3 minutes till the U.S. market opens. That was 20 minutes ago. Let's see how she opened today. The only one I really care about is MicroStrategy. Myself. By the way, I should mention this because 409, what were we at? So yesterday we got all the way up to what? 490? Wow. 490. So it opened pretty low today, I guess. But I should mention this because it's important. I was talking about the MicroStrategy MSTU 2x leverage long, and I forgot a couple important details that are definitely worth mentioning. So what I understand of it now, like the premise I was talking about was correct, but there was a few things that I missed in terms of what's happening behind the scenes in terms of managing the fund. So the fees on like a leverage long play are incredibly high. So this isn't something that you buy and hold on to for like 6 months. This is something that you buy and hold on to for like a day or 2 days or a week max probably. And there's a lot that can go wrong there. I believe it rebalances itself every day based on the market. So don't buy like a long and expect to hold on to it for a year because you think Bitcoin's going to go up. It's a very short-term play because the fees and the management fees and everything inside the fund really eat up that balance. So you don't want to hold on to it for very long. And I would say if you don't know what you're doing, including myself, it's probably best to avoid the long. So I closed out of I sold mine yesterday. I think I bought some more MicroStrategy or whatever it was. But anyways, I thought it was worth mentioning on here because I talked about the 2x or the 2x up or 2x down. There's more to gain, but much more to lose there. It's not like a short where you could really go, completely tits up, but it's still, it could go to zero very quickly. So don't put any amount into a long play that you can't afford to lose. That's my warning. Plunger says Bitcoiners are no more intelligent than the wealthy people that own traditional assets like gold and stocks. The corrupt wealthy people understand that fiat is garbage. This is why they hold their I'm guessing he's going to say wealth in stocks and real estate and gold. Yeah, I mean, that's true. That's true as well. That's why I think it's important to say that, you know, it's not really smart versus dumb. It's just different beliefs. S. Dot says, was the internet provided to support Bitcoin the real gift? I mean, that's a great question. That's a great question, because you have to understand the how much the internet has changed the world. It basically moved us from having, and that's why I don't blame, like a lot of people like blaming the baby boomers about like how the world turned out. But you have to understand that the baby boomers had 3 sources of information. They had the newspaper, they had the radio, and they had the television. Nothing outside of that, and books at the library. So when the internet came out, it decentralized information. It gave access to information that we never had before. And we're seeing the effects of that now in terms of even shows like this. Like, as small as this channel is, this is a reflection of the decentralized world that we're moving into. But you have to think about the internet in terms of, like, Bitcoin couldn't exist before 2009 because the internet wasn't there yet. When you have a currency that's running on a network like Bitcoin is, you need to have that in place. The internet has to be fast enough for the consensus mechanism to actually kick in with Bitcoin. So up until 2009, I know it's easy 16 years later to see how far we've come in terms of like the speed of our internet, the speed of the infrastructure in place, the broadband. I don't know, just saying big words. But at the time, Bitcoin could not have worked before 2009. So it was built up for almost 40 years. The things were put in place to get to where we are today, but none of this could have happened without the internet being a certain speed. So Bitcoin never could have happened before it did, if you're comparing it to the internet. Oh, Muslim Bitcoiner. Hey, we got 92 people in here right now. So take some time. We're gonna give away some Bitcoin right away. Maybe we'll do 2 giveaways today just because there's so many people in here. But take some time right now. Take 20 seconds, copy this video and share it to your favorite platform. If that's Twitter, share a link there. Say, come join us for some Bitcoin talk. If it's on Nostr, share it there. Come join us for some Bitcoin talk. Facebook even. Let's penetrate the Facebook market. But that would mean a lot. Let's get to let's smash our all-time high for people in the chat today. I think that'd be really cool. Anyways, Muslim Bitcoiner says, getting a lot of heat between Bitcoin only holders and MicroStrategy holders. As long as you hodl some sats, it shouldn't be a problem to hold some risk on play proxies. I mean, that's what we have to keep in mind here. Is like a lot of Bitcoiners are, I think it's the Bitcoiners who don't own MicroStrategy, obviously, who have these feelings toward MicroStrategy and holders. But it's like, you have to understand how much MicroStrategy is bringing to the table in terms of Bitcoiners, because it's allowing capital to flow from a whole bunch of angles that could not happen before, right? So not only there's a lot of entities out there who cannot hold Bitcoin ETFs or any sort of ETF or any equities for that matter. So MicroStrategy is providing, it's a vehicle that allows all of this capital to flow into Bitcoin that could not otherwise own Bitcoin or exposure to Bitcoin. So, I mean, and they're providing that liquidity within Bitcoin. So there should be absolutely no friction between Bitcoiners and MicroStrategy holders. I think you should look at it the same kind of way. And as Muslim Bitcoiner says, as long as you hodl some sats, like I've said this from day one here, talking about MicroStrategy. And that is that, number one, you should always get Bitcoin in cold storage. That should be your number one play above everything. Even though it might not go up as much in fiat terms as MicroStrategy will, it's a much better play, much safer, much more sovereign. It's the play. So if you have any cash on the sidelines, savings account, checkings account, very quick access that you've already paid tax on out of the financial system, that goes into Bitcoin. Cold storage, leave it there. That's for your family. That's your farmland that you hold there forever. You never think about selling it. You just grow wealth within your family. But if you do have money, a lot of people have money stuck in the legacy system, in their retirement fund, in their stock fund. A lot of people have money in there that they don't want to pay the fees to withdraw and buy Bitcoin, or they don't have the knowledge, the know-how to be able to do that. So I have no issues with people reallocating their portfolio from like Apple, from Tesla, from NVIDIA, from General Electric. Put that into MicroStrategy, but view it as the same way you'd view Bitcoin, in terms of don't worry about the day-to-day price. Don't try to turn into a trader. That's usually when I can tell we're in a bull run, is when I start looking at trading stocks. And I need to tell myself, like, what the hell are you doing? You don't know anything about this. Just buy Bitcoin and hold on to it. Or buy MicroStrategy and hold on to it. Don't get crazy with the call options, the longs, the shorts. Don't try to get greedy with it. Just buy some MicroStrategy and hold on to it for 20 years. Go to sleep for 20 years and wake up and see what the price is worth. And you know what? Don't think small either. I think that's one thing that a whole lot of Bitcoiners are bad for, is like, we're just kind of expecting things to go wrong, but we don't need to. What if things work out better than we could ever imagine right now? What if? Start preparing for that. Have some money in MicroStrategy and think it into existence. Think, you know what? I got 20 shares in MicroStrategy here. I think in the next 5 years, I'm going to hold on to these. I'm not going to get distracted. I'm going to take this money out and I'm going to pay off my house, or I'm going to pay off this line of credit that I've had. Don't think small. Pay that off and then keep buying more Bitcoin with it after that. But don't try to like, don't be a trader. That's what I'm saying. Don't pretend to be a trader. Don't get greedy. Don't get caught up in the hype, the distractions. Focus on just getting Bitcoin and getting MicroStrategy, and that's it. You hold on to both those assets for 20 years, you're going to do very well for yourself. That's it. There's no argument needed there. MSTU, that's what we were just talking about, the 2x leverage. I mean, only get into that if you know what you're doing. Don't hold on to it for more than a week. Don't buy it for the long term. I mean, I was lucky. I got a little bit lucky on that one, and I sold it yesterday, and I traded back into MicroStrategy. Don't get too greedy. That's the moral of the story today. As we go through this Bitcoin cycle here, it happens every cycle. There's going to be distractions. That's what people want. Everybody should be focused on Bitcoin, but it seems like once Bitcoin starts moving, everybody else is distracted by everything else. Like 150% per year isn't good enough for you. You need to go 300, 400. That's just time preference that you're worried about more than anything else. So I don't know if it'll drop before we see a rise. I have no idea. I'm not a trader. I just know the value of Bitcoin, and that's why I hold Bitcoin and invest in companies that hold Bitcoin. That's it. Hey, Bitcoin boomers in the chat. All aboard the Bitcoin train. Next stop, 100K. KP. Look at that. It's a new face. Celebrating 100K with pizzas from the original Bitcoin pizza location here in my city. Wow. That's kind of cool. Hopefully we hit it today. Hopefully we hit it this afternoon. Okay, apparently there's a new Sailor clip on his Twitter. There it is. Ooh, 9 minutes. Okay, well, we'll watch that in a bit. I'll send it to myself here. We'll watch that in a bit together. All right, copy, paste. We haven't even done the mempool yet, and it's 40 minutes into the show today. That's a Friday. That's a Friday for you. All right, let's check out. All right, I see some more zaps coming in. We received 88 sats and 100 sats. So thank you to whoever sent those in over on the Zap stream. Okay, let's get to the mempool, and then we'll catch up on some comments. On Friday, we don't leave any comments behind. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can't zap. Consider a super chat. I feel like super chats are super underrated here within this community. For some reason, we love the zaps, but the super chats are almost non-existent. So if you've been learning anything, if you've been enjoying the show for a little while, if this is your first day, don't worry about it. But if you've been enjoying the show, if you've been watching and learning anything, then that's the easiest way to do it. Send some value back. If you have it, of course. If not, just do what you can. Share it, like it. I understand. Okay, we got 871,504 blocks since January 3rd, 2009. If you're transacting on the Bitcoin Layer 1 network, it's going to cost you 8 sats per VByte. 8 sats per VB. And the last 3 out of 4 blocks were won by the Foundry Squad. The Foundry Squad. I always imagine every time I see who won the block, I just imagine their headquarters. And they have like a big bell. That's what I would do if I was a Bitcoin miner. Every time you hit a block, you just absolutely rail on that bell. Wake everybody up. We just hit a block, 3.125 Bitcoin. And we're 51 blocks ahead still. Wow. 9.4% upwards, it's looking like right now. Insane. Look at that. Look at that hash rate. This is the most beautiful chart in Bitcoin. Look at this. Good luck stopping Bitcoin. Up until 2018, there was this, we weren't even off the ground yet. Look at that. You can mine Bitcoin back here with like a laptop. And then we were going upwards nice and steady. All of a sudden, boom, China bans mining. Huge drop. May 2021. But then this is about where we hit the last all-time high, so it started cranking up again. And then all of a sudden we doubled it, tripled it, quadrupled it, and look where we are now. And there's absolutely no signs of this thing slowing down. That's the real metric in Bitcoin. And for those who might be new here, I understand that there's a lot of different people. That's why this is called the Bitcoin journey, because everybody's at a different place and the journey never ends in Bitcoin. So the hash rate, just keep in mind there that don't get overwhelmed. Don't get caught up in the big words terminology. Hash rate is just the amount of energy going into the Bitcoin network. So when one person plugs in their Bitcoin miner, the hash rate goes up. When somebody unplugs their Bitcoin miner, the hash rate goes down. It just measures the total energy, the total electricity that's going into the Bitcoin network. So the higher that is, the more people who are mining Bitcoin, the better. Oh, I love all these people who are saying smash the like button. You're doing my work, so thank you. Lori? So KP's in Jacksonville. That's where the Bitcoin pizza was from. Interesting. Duncan says the pound is crashing compared to the dollar. We are in the toilet. Same with the Canadian dollar. Let me try something here. No, it's not going to work. My camera keeps zooming in and out, and I don't really know how to change that. How to lock it on there. Oh well. Who cares? Who cares? Hey, look, we got Noah in the chat today. Greetings from London. I can't connect to Zap.stream. Yeah, we're having some issues over there, Noah. We're having some issues over there. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Oh, that was Duncan who sent in the 4.2 thousand Zap this morning. Wow, thank you, Duncan. Appreciate that, my friend. No, I can't see any of them. It's very annoying. Very annoying. Oh, somebody else sent in 1,000 sat Zap on Arnie's wallet here. So thank you for that. It's Friday. The Zaps usually flow on Friday. Mondays tough. Mondays are in the shitter for zaps, but Fridays usually people crank it up. Oh, John Nash, the mathematician from the Beautiful Mind movie. Interesting. Breedlove had a guy who believes John Nash is Satoshi. S. Dot says John Nash wrote a paper on game theory. Genius, battled schizophrenia 25 years, came back talking sound money. Interesting. Programmer, mathematician, Nobel Prize winning economist. How come I've never heard of that guy before? Daniel, I don't know if this is our Daniel R or not, but says tots on MicroStrategy and the leverage plays until Q2, Q3, 2025. I mean, as much as I want to stop talking about MicroStrategy right now, it's the hot topic. So you just have to understand here. Forget about the price of MicroStrategy. Forget about how much it's gone up this cycle. I know that's usually like the case where people are like, okay, well, it's already gone up 600% this year, so it can't go up anymore. That's not the case at all here. What Saylor is doing, what MicroStrategy is doing, is unlike anything anybody has ever seen before. So let's just start there. Basically what he's doing, he's shorting the fiat system. He's providing a vehicle for the fiat system to get access to Bitcoin. That's all he's doing. And people call that a pyramid scheme, but that's how every person, every entity works the same. If you objectively look at the ins and outs of what's happening there, everybody does that in life. But now he's holding a Bitcoin instead of fiat. So you know what? Like, if you think Bitcoin's going to go from 98,000 to 10x, maybe a million in this cycle, MicroStrategy shares are going to do the exact same thing. So forget about the price of it. If you have money in the system, just get MicroStrategy because it's going to go up in the same equivalent. Regardless, there will probably be another stock split between then and now if that happens, if Bitcoin rips. So there's a lot of things to consider there. And I think that the one thing that MicroStrategy is doing right now that very few people comprehend, they're basically front running every country on earth. That's what's happening. That's why they're in such a panic to get so much Bitcoin right now. And that's pretty much the only metric that you have to look at. You have to look at the total amount of Bitcoin that they're going to be holding after this. Forget about the yield. Forget about all that other bullshit. Forget about the timing of everything. When one entity holds 500,000 Bitcoin, the amount of leverage and power that they're going to be able to utilize that Bitcoin for is out of this world. Out of this world, truly. That's going to be the metric. That's what everybody is going to look at on the balance sheet is how much Bitcoin are you holding? What can you do with that Bitcoin? And then you also have to, like, you take it further and you say, okay, well, maybe MicroStrategy ends up with 500,000 Bitcoin. In 10 years, those are going to be worth a lot, for one. But you have to also keep in mind the amount of supply that's going to be available in those 10 years, because this is so unlike anything that we've ever seen before in terms of Bitcoin. A scarce asset with a fixed supply. We've never seen that before. So that's why people say all the models are destroyed, because it's true. We've never seen anything like this before. So let's say that in 10 years from now, there's only 1,000 Bitcoin for sale every day because there's such a short supply of new Bitcoin coming on and so much demand. 1,000 might even be high. So then Saylor might just start selling some of those Bitcoin. Maybe he takes 10% of the Bitcoin, he starts selling that Bitcoin, buying businesses that are generating more cash flow, sats flow, reinvesting that into Bitcoin. So maybe he sells some. Maybe he starts buying back some shares to increase the sats per share even more and to take away some of the dilution in the shares. Like, MicroStrategy is hooked up to a rocket ship that is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the fuel. MicroStrategy is the vehicle that's allowing that to flow across the world. So I think it was American HODL I heard say that it was John Rockefeller that, with the crude oil, he was 70 years old when the Model T came out, when Henry Ford invented the first vehicle, the Model T. Up until then, the oil was almost unusable. And so what Henry Ford did was he gave it a vehicle. He allowed it to be what it is today. So it took a while, but that crude oil, think of that like Bitcoin. I thought it was a perfect analogy from American HODL, because that's essentially what Saylor's doing with Bitcoin, what Henry Ford did with oil. But unlike the oil, Rockefeller doesn't own it all. Well, Saylor's going to own a big chunk of it, but we can hold some of that. Nobody could own like, oil that they could sell into the market, but you can do that with Bitcoin now. So MicroStrategy is basically the vehicle that's going to allow it to flow. It's going to provide that next step of utility. So, I mean, you can't go wrong. It's not like you're going to buy MicroStrategy today and it's going to be worth less in a year from now, right? It's just, you have to look at your own portfolio. You have to balance it properly. You have to think about the tax implications of that. But again, at the end of the day, your goal, if you have any free cash flow, should be Bitcoin on layer 1 in cold storage that you have the keys to. MicroStrategy is breaking Wall Street. Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. He's basically shorting fiat and winning big time. So it's going to be a race. It's going to be a race to accumulate Bitcoin, and MicroStrategy is light years ahead of every company and every country on earth. So you cannot go wrong, assuming that they hold on to the Bitcoin. The one thing that I would like to see with MicroStrategy, though, and this is probably why I won't buy any more MicroStrategy until this happens, but the one thing I would like to see from MicroStrategy is more transparency. I know they're a public company. I know they have to disclose how much Bitcoin they have every quarter, but I would still like to see a website where you can go and see the wallets that they're holding, and you can see the balances in there. Because we can see how many shares are outstanding, and if we could see how many Bitcoin they hold, I think that would give a lot more people like me more faith and trust. I'm not saying they don't have the Bitcoin. I'm saying I would like to see it. And when they provide that, when they set up a website like El Salvador has, where it shows how much Bitcoin they have at any given moment, that's when I'll buy more MicroStrategy. But until then, I'll just sit back and relax. Daniel says, I realize Mara and other miners are being hella manipulated with options in high volume. BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, and others own Coinbase, Cantor Fitzgerald, MicroStrategy, and more. Full takeover. Yeah, I mean, that's, I'm not going to argue with you there. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that we don't see and we don't know about. Ton of them. Including BlackRock, including Vanguard, including Cantor Fitzgerald, including Michael Saylor, including NYDIG, including Donald Trump. There's a lot. No doubt about that. So you just have to figure out what their intentions are. And you have to keep in mind that there's no way for them to take over the Bitcoin network. They can use their tools and capital to manipulate other parts of the market, but they can't do that with Bitcoin. That's why you should be focused on Bitcoin and cold storage. That's the one thing that nobody else can take from you. Or it's the closest thing to a fair market that we have, Bitcoin. And we need fair markets. We need unregulated, free markets. Colin, techno capital singularity. I don't know what that means. Techno capital singularity. That sounds like a band. Hey, Red Rider BB Guns in the chat this morning. Good to see you. Hey, look at that. We got 65 likes right now. He was number 45, or she, but that's it. All right, 90s family. The only thing I hate about bull runs is the meme coin pump everything to the moon mentality. People lose focus. Yes, exactly. It's exactly what we were talking about. People get distracted. People get greedy. They start chasing things because everything's going up. Everything's going up. Can't come down. It's not possible to come down. And they start buying these meme coins. They start buying these altcoins. What else? the newest company who's announced they're buying Bitcoin. People get distracted. You need to focus on Bitcoin. That's it. Serge, good morning, my Canadian friend. Good morning to you. We got Nick in the chat. Good morning. Mazeman says, what does KNG stand for? King. It's just short for king. Inspired by Arnold Palmer, the king himself. I just love the king. I love the crown. I love our mission statement is basically the highest standard, shortest mission statement on earth, but that's what we try to do with our head covers, with our products, with our content, everything, the highest standard, like kings. King golf. Good question. BTC, Beyond the Coin. Good morning, Shapers of the Future. 100K is just around the corner. What are we at? Are we even close to it today? We haven't even done the metrics yet. An hour into the show. Sad. Oh, we're back in 98. What was I going to do? Oh, let's give away some biddy. I did the metrics today, but we don't really need to waste any time looking at them. They're the exact same as yesterday. No change. No significant change. We did hit it 99 yesterday, though. I forgot to mention that. That's kind of a big deal. Shout out to Wayne Gretzky, the great one. Okay. Get your lightning wallets out, folks. Get your lightning wallets out right now and press send. Get the QR code scanner on the screen and get ready to win some Bitcoin. I was going to do 2 tosses, but we've lost about 10 people here. So we'll do 1. And if we get back above a certain threshold in the next minute, we'll do 2. So we'll see. Ready? Oh, I need to bring it up on screen, I guess. Something's glitching in my cord back here. I don't know what's going on. Okay, ready, set, go. $500 sats. 500 sats. To some lucky fella out there, or felly. Is that what women are, fellies? I don't think so. Okay, well, we hit 80 people in here, so we'll do another one. Should we do another one? We'll do another one. This is from my own personal stash, so you're welcome. These sats are for you. God, if that would have been 1 million sats, I would have shit my pants. 500 sats, 2 winners today. It is Friday. It's going to be an amazing day today. It's 11:22. And if you're into numerology like myself, that means might be some action today on a Friday too. Okay, so those sats were courtesy of the Bitcoin Well, the best Bitcoin platform in North America by far. So much functionality on here. You can buy, you can set up a recurring buy, you can sell, you can swap, which is my favorite feature. I tried it out the other day for the first time and it worked like a charm. Like a charm. So basically with a Bitcoin Well account, you're going to have a couple different addresses that you put in. Bitcoin address, Lightning address. And then all you do, you press swap here. It's incredible. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen in a Bitcoin platform before. So you say, I want on-chain Bitcoin. Okay. So I could send let's say I got 20,000 zaps today from Zapstream in my Lightning wallet. And I'm like, you know what? I want to put these on chain. I want to protect these. Probably not a good idea for the UTXO size, but anyways, let's say I want to do that. So I take the 20,000 sats from my Lightning address. I scan this QR code right here. And then any amount that I send there gets sent on chain to my address. So you put your destination address right here, your Bitcoin address. You send sats via Lightning to this address. It swaps for free. For free, 0 fees. Impossible anywhere else. If you're using Aqua Wallet, if you're using, what else offers that service? Phoenix, Wallet of Satoshi, anytime you move Lightning on chain, there's always a big fee there. But if you're using Bitcoin well, you can do that for free. Incredible. So it says, see here, you got to pay attention to this. It says low free fees, next batches in 19 hours. So even though you send it here, the transaction will actually show up in like your Sparrow wallet in the mempool, but until the batch goes through, it won't confirm. So it does take a little bit longer, but you're probably not in any sort of rush if you're sending Bitcoin from Lightning to on chain. So you just got to wait it out. Don't expect it to show up in 5 minutes like you would somewhere else, but it's free. So such an incredible service there. All swaps are 0%. So if you want an account there, if you're in Canada or the US and you want to start using Bitcoin well, go to bitcoinwell.com/Jor. And you get 5 free tosses into the wishing well for using that link. There it is at the bottom. I love this new ticker. bitcoinwell.com/Jor. 5 free tosses into the Bitcoin wishing well. Okay, let's see what else we got here, folks. Red Rider says, hi gang, Elon Musk here, using my burner account. Half the Strength says, that's me, 401k and MicroStrategy. It's the play. It's absolutely the play. Don't ever sell your Bitcoin though and buy MicroStrategy. That's the worst thing that you could do. S. Dot says, sent my TSP retirement fund to Fidelity ETF in January. Beautiful. Roman, thanks for your work. Greets from Austria. Hey, I was just, we did a show with Robin. He's from Austria. Robin Sayer from Austria. And I was on, I did an interview with him yesterday for his show. So I think that interview is going to come out in the next week or so. So that's kind of cool. He's from Austria too. Morrow21. Got laser eyes, new to the channel. Welcome, my friend. It's great to have you here. Look at this. Harmonious S Equilibrium. Subjor, love the content. Can you do me a favor? My brother's feeling sad. Can you say, hey, Jose? Is that Jorge? Hey, Jose, Jorge's brother. You can do it. Let's go. Come on, Jose. Pull it together, man. I mean, this is for Jose. This is for anybody out there. Just understand where we are. If you're feeling sad, if you're feeling down, the one thing that you can do is start learning about Bitcoin, because Bitcoin changes your whole perspective of the world. It changes every cell in your body, truly. Because before I realized what Bitcoin is and is doing, I was in a very dark place myself, truly. Because I knew what could go wrong. I knew what they were planning. This is when, there was a whole bunch of talk about the World Economic Forum. There was a whole bunch of talk about the central bank digital currencies. I saw a very negative path. And, I was kind of at the time where, just like everybody is, where you're working your ass off and you're getting nowhere because of the fiat system. But with Bitcoin, I mean, it's going to change everything. Most people won't even know that it's Bitcoin that's making things better, but it is. So this is for Jose for sure. And I was going to say send in Zap first, but I'm also not a clown that you pay to do things. So I'll just do it. That's for, is it Jorge or George's brother? Either way, Jose, you can do it. Everybody's going to do it here. Get some Bitcoin, start adding value to the world, and you're going to be just fine. Better than fine. We're heading to a place where it's going to be unrecognizable, truly. And it's not going to take very long to get there. Look at this. Red Rider BB Gun. Ask and you shall receive. Our first super chat of the day. $4.99. Thank you, Red Rider BB Gun. Number one excuse I keep hearing, what if we have a solar flare that knocks out the internet? That's most people's rebuttal to it. Anybody who says that clearly has no understanding of Bitcoin at all. Because Bitcoin is the best thing you could probably have if we get a solar flare. Because it's decentralized. There's 20,000 copies of the ledger around the world right now. Every person running a Bitcoin node has a copy of the Bitcoin ledger. That's all you need. Solar flare, internet comes back on, everything restarts, but everybody has the same amount of Bitcoin that they had before the solar flare. And are we really going to have a solar flare? I don't know. But I mean, if it wipes things out for a while, we have much bigger problems than Bitcoin to worry about. Ted, hello from White Rock, BC. I feel like there's a couple people from White Rock that watch the show. I'm enjoying this journey, all-time highs forever. Yep. That is the truth. And we got Ballsy Golf says, Ted, I'm listening from what? Sawasan? Oh, that's got to be pretty close. Sawasan? I'm guessing the T's silent there. My household is a pyramid scheme. Exactly. Everything is. Any centralized structure is a pyramid scheme. Airlock, good morning. Okay, let's watch this video of Sailor that I sent in here. I haven't seen this myself, so hopefully it's good. But we'll take a little break here from the chat, from hearing my voice. Let's hear Sailor talk, a guy who actually knows what he's talking about. So this is a 9-minute video. This is Sailor on CNBC this morning on Squawk Box. Always interested to hear what Sailor has to say, what kind of mood he's in, and what kind of an analogies he's using today. So we're going to put this on 1.25x. And we're going to listen to Sailor for the next 7 minutes. Sit back and enjoy. Just be glad that you get to be alive at the same time as Michael Saylor.
Well, Swat, we're watching Bitcoin near $100,000. It's at a high of about $99,500 yesterday. But MicroStrategy, the largest corporate holder of Bitcoin, was down 16%. That fall coming after Citron Research disclosed a short position in MicroStrategy. Citron said that it's still bullish on Bitcoin and praised MicroStrategy's executive chairman, Michael Saylor. But it said the company's volume has completely detached from Bitcoin's fundamentals. Michael Saylor is here with us this morning, and I'd love for you, if you could, it's great to see you. Bitcoin's been a wild run, and boy, have you been right. But I'd love for you to respond to this report.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people don't understand our core business. We're a Bitcoin treasury company. We're powered by a Bitcoin reactor. We've got $35 billion of Bitcoin, and it's spinning at 100 vol. So the way we make money is we're selling the volatility and recycling it back into Bitcoin. And we're also stripping the volatility and the risk and the performance off of fixed income securities. And we're transferring that to the common stock. So our common stock is delivering 2x Bitcoin, 2x vol. So Andrew, if you want to understand the economics of this, we generate a spread. The BTC spread we generate, it's a function of the equity premium, the convert premium, and the Bitcoin premium. The Bitcoin premium is the ARR Bitcoin versus the US dollar. 2 weeks ago, we did 4.6 billion of an ATM. We ran it at a 70% spread. That means we made about a $3 billion BTC gain in 5 days. That would be about $12.50 a share. But over 10 years, that's $36 billion, or about $150 a share, just on that 1 week. This week, we did a convertible bond, $3 billion at an 80% BTC spread. That's a $2.4 billion gain. That's about $10 a share. But over 10 years, that's $125 a share to the shareholders. I think that the thesis of the shorts is if the premium in the equity disappears, we can't make money. What they miss is that when we actually borrow money at 6% and we invest it in Bitcoin, and Bitcoin goes up 30%, and by the way, Bitcoin's going up 60%, we're getting a 90% BTC spread, but it would be 80% BTC spread, which means the $3 billion fixed income raise in preferreds or bonds generates the same $125 a share and $30 billion over 10 years. So once you understand that, you have a different view of the company.
So what do you say, though, to those who say there's a risk here? Because this is effectively a levered Bitcoin position. And if, in fact, Bitcoin goes down, this becomes a much more complicated situation.
Yeah, well, the number one risk you take is the existential risk that Bitcoin has an extinction level event and goes to zero immediately tomorrow. But every long investor in MicroStrategy is a Bitcoin maximalist or Bitcoin believer. They've accepted that risk. Once you accept that risk, what do we expect? We expect is going to go up 29% a year for the next 21 years. It's been going up 60% a year. So the people that are buying the equity are buying the equity because they want 2x Bitcoin, they want 2x vol. And once you accept that idea, you can see, over the last 2 weeks, Andrew, We've generated $5.4 billion in BTC gains. We're making 500 million a day. I'm staring at my screen and we're selling dollar bills for $3, sometimes a million times a minute. And so it's not impossible. I mean, we may very well be the most profitable company in the United States, growing the fastest right now, because there's not many companies that are making $500 million a day doing what they're doing. And so if you don't like Bitcoin, you don't want any piece of it. But if you like Bitcoin, then this is a monster for you.
Look, I don't think anybody is debating the success that you're having, no question. I think the question, and we had Michael Novogratz on the broadcast yesterday, is just the question of leverage. And, you know, when people talk about leverage, and you know, all sorts of bells go off in people's minds about what can happen if there is a downturn or there is a retreat, not necessarily to zero, but we've seen this be a very volatile asset. And while it's 100% gone up over the long term, and I'm not questioning that, I'm questioning whether you think if in fact there was a retracement from 98,000 to, I don't know, 70,000, what happens?
I'll make 2 points. 1 point, participants in the market are buying Bitcoin 20x faster than the supply is coming from the miners. There's a major demand supply imbalance, and that's going to continue for the foreseeable future. So I don't really expect that, but let's say it did happen. MicroStrategy's business is so good. We're generating 1 times the capital we raised. When we raised 10 billion in capital, if Bitcoin traded down $20,000 like you described, we'd still make $10 billion off the arbitrage by selling the volatility. If it trades up, like I expect it will, we make 10x that. So we're either making $3 billion on that convertible bond this week, in the worst case when it trades down, or we're making $30 billion on that convertible bond if it trades like the Bitcoiners believe it will.
And Michael, how should investors think about buying MicroStrategies versus buying now an ETF that might be levered, for example?
Well, what makes us special is we've got $35 billion of permanent capital. So we can lever that. We can sell a 5-year bond, or we can pledge that as collateral and raise fixed income instruments. If I sell 6% bonds or 6% preferreds, I'm getting that 80% or more spread out of it. BlackRock is a great company, and IBIT's great, but it's overnight deposits. And the ETFs have overnight deposits. So they can't create duration. They can't exploit the difference between borrowing money at 0% and investing at 60%. But that's exactly what we've been doing for the past 4 years.
So right now, I know you've been buying your own stock, but right now, if somebody was interested in Bitcoin, you think that the better bet is MicroStrategy versus buying it directly, for example, forgetting about the leverage piece of it?
You know, I actually think by far the best bet is buy our convertible bonds, because our convertible bonds are outperforming Bitcoin right now with downside protection. That's why we sold 3 billion of them this week. That's why I got a $500 million order to buy one in a 20-minute meeting. So if I was really Bitcoin curious and I wanted downside protection and I wanted the upside of Bitcoin, I'd buy the convert. But ultimately, you got 3 choices, Andrew. You can buy Bitcoin fixed income instruments like a MicroStrategy convert, which is some of the upside but downside protection. You can buy the straight Bitcoin in a wrapped ETF like IBIT, which is fine. Or you can buy high voltage Bitcoin, 2x Bitcoin, which is what MicroStrategy is. And I think it depends on the investor.
Michael, what's a conversion premium and what's a coupon?
We just sold that bond at 55% premium, 0 coupon, 5 years. It's the biggest crypto convert in history.
It's a 0.
And by the way,
that's interesting.
0. And we're the only company in the world that's ever issued 5 converts in a single year. So we are dominating the convert market as well as the equity and the options market in Bitcoin-related securities.
I know you're obviously super bullish on Bitcoin. We had a guest here in the 6 o'clock hour. I don't know if you had an opportunity to see him. He said he believed that it is plausible that Bitcoin gets to $1 million a coin literally in the next year, given what he thinks may happen in Washington as it relates to this new Trump administration.
Well, my long-term forecast is 21 years, 29% ARR. Right now, we're 60% ARR. It'll decelerate toward 20% ARR over the next 21 years, and the volatility will decelerate from 60 vol to 20 or 25 vol. So that's my outlook. I think that the red wave was incredibly bullish. Basically, the red wave converted headwinds into tailwinds. Instead of a 20% headwind, it becomes a 20% tailwind. So I would be more bullish based upon the red wave. But ultimately, I think the right way to think of it is it's always going to be the stronger capital asset versus a conventional S&P index.
So what's that get us to? With what you say, 29% ARR, or what's in 21 years? What is that?
My forecast is 13 million a coin by the year 2045. And what I tell everybody is every Bitcoin you don't buy today is going to cost you $13 million in the future.
Michael Saylor, giving us a lot to think about this morning. We appreciate you joining us on this Friday morning. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
I don't know why I keep showing Sailor clips on my show, because then I have to talk after him and then I sound like a fucking moron. So, okay, Plunger says, LOL, the T is not silent. West Coasters have weird names for cities. Love seeing people from my area. Lots of people from BC in the chat today and watching the daily Bitcoin journey. So, I mean, let's go back and talk about what Sailor just said. We've been talking about this for a while on the show here. MicroStrategy. We love MicroStrategy. But I think the one thing you have to keep in mind with MicroStrategy is that their convertible debt, you have to think about this in like the financial market play. I know as Bitcoiners, it's like, okay, you buy Bitcoin, nothing else matters. But like for a lot of entities out there, they're buying bonds. They're holding bonds in their portfolios. And there's convertible bonds, and then there's fixed income bonds too, which I believe that Sailor will be tapping into next. And that fixed bond market is a much bigger market than convertible bonds is. He said he's issued 5 this year, which is a record. But the nice thing about those bonds that I don't usually talk about, and I don't hear a whole lot of people talking about, is the nice thing with those bonds, the convertible debt that they're taking on, is that they're not attached to Bitcoin, right? Like it's not like Sailor saying, here, give us $1 billion. If things go south, you get some of our Bitcoin. Like there's no covenants attached to Bitcoin with the debt. It's not like they're going to the credit union and they have to put up so much collateral before they can get the money from them. And if their investment goes down, if their collateral goes down in value, they have to lose their Bitcoin. That's not how this is. The convertible debt holders are not, there's no covenants attached to MicroStrategy's Bitcoin. So that's the Bitcoin that they have today. I think it's 330,000 Bitcoin. That will probably never move, at least for 20 years, 21 years in this case. And that's going to be the main measuring stick for every public company in the world. How much Bitcoin do you have? Think about the leverage that that's going to create in the future for MicroStrategy. So, and the other part too is like all of his convertible debt is structured in a way where even if Bitcoin crashed tomorrow, they don't have to repay that debt for another 5 or 6 years. And if you know anything about Bitcoin, anybody who's bought Bitcoin and held on for at least 4 years has been up. So you stretch it out to 5, 6 years, like I don't think there's going to be any issues with them repaying those bonds. And if they do, then we got a whole nother problem here. But as he said there, the people who are buying MicroStrategies today are the ones who already know what Bitcoin's going to do and are willing to accept that risk that if Bitcoin goes to zero, you know, I'm toast. For real. Like no jokes. I think about that all the time. Like it's fun to say like you're all in on Bitcoin, but like I am. And am I worried about it? Not in the slightest. But things could go wrong. Always expect the unexpected. But at the same time, like I'm only here for so long. Why would I pussyfoot my way through life with government bonds, with General Electric stocks, with money in my bank? Like that's the risk to me. That's the real risk. Bitcoin is it's a no-doubter. It's a no-brainer. It's a countdown. And as each year goes by, each cycle goes by, there's going to be less and less Bitcoin available. MicroStrategy is going to hold a significant amount of that Bitcoin. They're never going to sell it, and they're going to be able to do unimaginable things with that capital. So, you know, even if the price went up 300% in the next week, I'd still say MicroStrategy is a great buy because you can see where this whole thing is going to. And MicroStrategy is the vehicle that's going to allow that capital from the old system to flow into Bitcoin. And so if you can attach your cart to that, you're going to do pretty well. So that was interesting. See? Timber Crasher says, my Bitcoin note is the entire transaction ledger of Bitcoin since January 3rd, 2009, the Genesis block. Don't worry, I know who owns what in case of power goes out. FDIC, on the other hand, maybe not so much. Jason says, going back to the Henry Ford and Rockefeller Then the government came and broke up Standard Oil crying monopoly. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the government does with MicroStrategy. That's why the Trump win was so important, because he's on board for all this. He's friends with these guys. Much as they don't talk about it in the public, that's the truth. Everybody, let's thumbs up this guy. All right, how are we doing here? How are we looking? We got 80 people watching, 75 likes. That's pretty good. You guys and girls are fucking awesome. Truly. Truly, truly, truly. Okay, let's keep going through these comments because it is Friday and no comment gets left behind. Good morning, Waro. DB3N says, explain this for me quick. What do you want me to explain? Joe Biden's half-eaten ice cream. It's Friday, baby. Cheers to that. I can't wait for this afternoon. I'm pumped. I got to get all my work done this morning and then have a really good afternoon on the Fractal Bitcoin show with beers. With beers. We got Reezy in the house this morning. Good day, gents. Good morning. Sailor's the machine gun at the knife fight. That's a really good way to look at it, truly. Sailor speaks on another level, and it seems CNBC just can't grasp it. I mean, CNBC is a good reflection of most people, and that's kind of where the opportunity lies right now. Is that a lot of people will have just like Bitcoin. MicroStrategy and Bitcoin are going to be very similar in that sense, where over these next few weeks, there's going to be a lot of people who are buying MicroStrategy just because they've seen it go up 600% this year. But they don't have the conviction to know what they're doing. They don't have the conviction to know what Bitcoin's doing. And so they're going to sell that. They're going to make a little bit of money probably, but they're going to sell it. And in 10 or 20 years from now, just like Amazon stocks and Apple stocks, except this is a whole nother level of that. They're going to wish, maybe I shouldn't have sold those 5 shares in MicroStrategy back in 2024 for $5,000 profit. Because if I would have held on to those for 20 years, I could be able to buy this whole town. So it's all conviction. It's all patience. It's all understanding a long-term view here. Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, same thing. Don't get greedy. Don't get stupid. MicroStrategy is diamond. ETF is salad. Or lettuce. I mean, I wouldn't say I disagree with that. I sold all my ETFs. Because basically the ETF, I mean, it was good. It was good when it was the only thing available. But it's like, why would you hold an ETF? You're paying a fee. Somebody else is holding it for you. You have the counterparty risk. You don't have any of the upside or the leverage that MicroStrategy has. So if you believe in Bitcoin, I mean, MicroStrategy is an absolute no-brainer. Oh, Colin says that is different than the video on YouTube. I wonder why that would be. Longer maybe, or different, I don't know. Hey, Kyle, one of our newest Bitcoin Journeyman. Maybe our newest Bitcoin Journeyman. Good morning, my friend. Zero margin calls, exactly. That's what most people are missing here with the convertible debt. Zero margins to call. Okay, this is a good one. This is an important topic. See, it's easy to watch the price. It's easy to be obsessed over MicroStrategy. But this is where we need to be focused on more than anything else. Dylan, thoughts on MicroStrategy custody? Sorry. Thoughts on multi-institutional custody. Multi-sig private keys spread across 3 or 4 institutions. I understand not your keys, not your coins, but it seems like a solution for ensuring coin longevity. Yes. So this is your, let me put this miner away here for a sec. It's bothering me. This is your progression as a Bitcoiner. And all this is based on how long you've been in Bitcoin and how much Bitcoin you have, this whole thing. So you start off, just use the 5% rule with security, where you take 5% of your portfolio and you invest in your security. You have to do it. Your setup should be more secure than a bank. So this is the progression. Let's say you got $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. 5% of that, 50 bucks. What can you buy for 50 bucks? Probably more Bitcoin, because all you need at that point is like a good wallet on your phone. Let's say Moon Wallet, for example, or Koinos Wallet. Koinos is good. You can hold layer 1 on there, but you just need a wallet. You don't need to spend any more money than that. 50 bucks, just put that back into Bitcoin. Get to 10,000 worth of Bitcoin. That's $500. And that's when you start looking at a cold card, a passport, a jade. $500 works pretty good for our Bitcoin Journey pack on, let me find it here, from QuickBit. I need to bookmark this for the future. QuickBit Bitcoin. Actually, I have a link somewhere here. But you go to, actually in the show notes below, there's a link for this. And I'll talk about this again today. I'll probably be talking about this quite a bit for a little while, because it's absolutely the most important part about Bitcoin right now. Okay, let me see if I can find this. Bundles. Auto pack. It's not on there yet. Okay. It's got to be. Give me a sec here. It's in the show notes. It's in the show notes. But I mean, so you got $10,000 worth of Bitcoin. You should be looking at investing at least $500 in securing that Bitcoin. And the security here that we have, the bundle that we have in place here, is less than that. Okay, let me find this link. I got to bookmark this. I'm kind of new to this. It's my first day doing a live show. Don't worry about it. Okay. There it is. Let me bring it up here for you. So you can go to the website. It's in the show notes below. It's the Bitcoin Journey 88 Sats bundle here. So this includes a Jade, Blockstream Jade, which is air gapped. You don't need to connect it to your laptop. And the big thing here, though, this is the most expensive part of this pack, is the stamp seed. And don't sleep on this, because even if you have the best hardware device on the planet, but you wrote your private key down on paper, and all of a sudden you get a flood or your house burns down, your Bitcoin's gone with it. So you can spend tens of thousands on a hardware device. Not that any costs that much, but you know what I mean. Maybe you pay people to set it up for you. But without something like this, without having it on steel, it's meaningless. So that's what you get with that. 400 bucks. And if you use the code 88 sats, you get 15% off. So less than 400 bucks for that whole thing. Plus, as I mentioned yesterday, for the first 8 people to order that, you're going to get 1 free session with me. So I can help you set it up, or we can just chat for an hour if you have any ideas on a strategy, any questions, UTXO stuff, key management stuff, inheritance stuff, whatever that is. First 8 people who buy one of those packs are going to get 1 free session with yours truly. So that's the next stage, is you go from a phone wallet to a hardware device. Make sure you have a stamp seed or something you can put it on. This is titanium, actually, which is apparently better than steel, but get it on steel or titanium. And then from there, you get a decoy wallet, passphrase. So let's say you already have a Trezor, or you already have a ledger kicking around your house. That's what you use as your decoy wallet. So you put 5% of your Bitcoin on there, 95% on your new Blockstream Jade. That's your decoy wallet there. Or you can use like a cold card with a passphrase, same kind of thing. It reduces the single point of failure there. And then you graduate to a multi-signature setup. So you have 1 Jade, 2 Jades maybe, 1 cold card, and you need 2 different keys to unlock that. So instead of just having 1 signing device to move Bitcoin around, you actually require 2 keys. So that's where you need a little bit more though, because you need the knowledge of setting it up. Plus you need people in your life that you can trust. Because if you have all 3 devices in your one house, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, right? So you keep one device at your place, you keep another device somewhere else you trust, maybe one with the lawyer, who knows? But you need those people in your life that you trust, or else the multi-signature is a complete waste of time. And then you graduate to multi-institutional custody or multi-jurisdictional custody, where you have a key here, you have a key in Sweden, you have a key in the US, and until you bring those keys together, the Bitcoin cannot move. So that's more of a process. This is actually something that we're going to be offering as part of our Bitcoin Citadel venture that we're working on, the multi-jurisdictional Bitcoin security. And we have a couple people going through it right now as we speak, but that's going to be, so the final cost of that is probably going to be close to 500 or 5,000 bucks, I would guess. Maybe probably less than that. But so if you have a Bitcoin, I think you should be looking at that, because 100,000 bucks, 5%, that's 5,000 bucks. That's kind of like your progression of how much security you should have based on your holdings. So depending on where you are, again, just to kind of wrap that up, you got 1,000 bucks, just get a phone wallet. It's free. Spend 50 bucks, buy Bitcoin. You got a $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, you get yourself Blockstream Jade, Stamp Seed, you do it all yourself. Or if you're one of the first people to call, you get me to help you for an hour. If you got, what would be the next one? Maybe 50,000, I would say. Then you're investing about 1,000 bucks. You get a couple devices. That's your multi-signature setup. Take some time, probably hire somebody to help you with it, which Bitcoin Citadel also offers. And then if you got a Bitcoin or you got $100,000 worth of Bitcoin, then you go to multi-jurisdictional. Spend about 5,000 bucks securing it, making sure that somebody breaks in your house, somebody knows you're a Bitcoiner. They can't do anything without traveling to Sweden and unlocking it for you. So it's important. It's probably the most important thing you could be worried about right now as a Bitcoiner. Most people don't understand what they're holding right now. So I think that that's kind of my progression. That's my threshold for people in security. Good starting point anyways. Keep playing Michael Saylor clips. You are doing a great job of explaining this complicated play. It is pretty complicated. And even myself, like, I don't know the full ins and outs. And that's why I'm a little bit hesitant sometimes to talk about it, because I don't want to be giving the wrong information to people. But at like a high level, I know what's going on. And so I try to explain that to people as best I can without some of the finer details. But at the same time, some of those finer details could be the difference between, success and failure. So, you can listen to me to get a good big picture view of what's happening here. But if you actually want to put significant money in there, then make sure you have a really good understanding of it. Dale, speaking of QuickBit, Dale from QuickBit says, every sat that you have are sats that someone else does not have. And we've never seen anything like that before. It's not the case with dollars. You have a dollar, that doesn't mean somebody else is going to have that same dollar, or 2 billion more of it tomorrow when the government decides to print some. But with Bitcoin, there's only so much of it. And so every sat that you have are sats that someone else does not have. It's a fight. It's a race. That's what MicroStrategy is doing. It's a race to get as much Bitcoin as possible, and MicroStrategy is winning that race. Captain Codeman says, banks going bust and bail-in is bigger risk. There's a reason they passed those regulations. Yeah, I mean, there's a risk. Everything has a risk, right? Lucas says, bro, you've blown up. Nice work. I don't know if we've blown up at all yet. We're doing really well here on the channel. I love doing this stuff. People show up every day. We have some really good conversations. I think people are getting some value from it. But my goal for the end of 2024, I know it seems pretty far-fetched, but I want to get to 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year. But the crazy part is that looking at the analytics of my channel, 60% of people who watch the videos are not subscribers to the channel. So even if half those people subscribed, we would be very close to 10K. And I think after the interview comes out with Robin Sarah next week, I think there's going to be a lot more traffic to the channel. We had a really good chat. It was a really good interview. And last time I was on Rajat's channel, we got about 1,000 subscribers like in a week or two. So it'll be tough to get to 10,000, but I think it's still doable. Duncan says, what time is the other show? That is at 4 p.m. Eastern today. 4 p.m. Eastern. So in 10, 11, 12, 6 hours from now, we're going live with Jerry Loves Freedom is going to be on there. I love that. I was so happy to hear that. And Fractal Bitcoin, another one of my favorite guys. Zach says, how does the MNAV actually work? The multiplier, it's basically like, the way to look at the multiplier is if you had $100,000. We kind of did this the other day. Somebody said that my numbers were wrong, but it'll still give you a good idea of what's going on here. So let's use, I'm going to move this part because this was the updated version, but I don't know if the numbers are correct. So I'm going to use the numbers that were at the last MicroStrategy quarterly report or quarterly presentation that they did. Somebody said that the premium was only 3.5, but I don't know what numbers they were using for that. So let's look at this. This is the premium on MicroStrategy shares. So at the time, when they did their last presentation, MicroStrategy had 252,000 Bitcoin. And at the same time, they're diluted shares, which means that the actual share amount plus the conversion, the people who own convertible debt, they include their shares as if they're going to convert those into shares, convert the debt into shares. So this was their diluted shares, 235 million shares, which is 0.1%. So in other words, if you got 95,000 bucks, this was last week, but earlier this week, you could buy one Bitcoin. For the same $95,000, you could buy 195 shares in MicroStrategy. So if we said that one share based on this calculation here is 0.1% of a Bitcoin, not 1%, but 0.1% of a Bitcoin, which is 100,000 sats approximately. So if you own one share in MicroStrategy, you own basically 1,000 sats worth of Bitcoin, 100,000 sats. And so if you have 195 shares in MicroStrategy, you have 0.2 of a Bitcoin or 21 million sats. So in other words, with that same $95,000 that you could buy one Bitcoin with, if you're going the MicroStrategy route instead, you only get 0.2 of a Bitcoin for the same $95,000 there. So in this case, this is the numbers that I used. Somebody said that they were wrong, so don't trust these fully. But using these numbers, this is the multiplier that you get there, the premium, which is 5x. Right? Because it's 20% of a Bitcoin, so 5x. If this was 50% of a Bitcoin, it would be 2x. So that's kind of the premium there. And again, some of those numbers may be wrong, but that was the numbers that they used on their last MicroStrategy presentation. And since then, they've bought 80,000 Bitcoin. And that was like 2 weeks ago. So they bought 27,000, I think, and then 51,000 Bitcoin since then. Hey, we got Selling the Wind. Yo, dude. Morning. Good morning. Look at this. We got Discourse says about 100 MicroStrategy at $16 2 years ago and have yet to take profit. Mainly for tax purposes, but also because MicroStrategy may be the next Berkshire Hathaway stock. But should I rotate some MicroStrategy into spot Bitcoin? I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to do. But if it was me, I definitely would be cashing quite a bit of that out, even if you have to pay tax on it. To cash them out and buy some Bitcoin. You can get a lot of Bitcoin for that. And even if you take 10% of it and buy Bitcoin with what you have, Bitcoin in cold storage is incredibly valuable. That's what you want. That's the end goal. That's the number one focus, should be getting as many sats as you can into cold storage. And if you can do that, I mean, I can do some quick math on that, but that's a lot of capital in there, and you should definitely be rebalancing it. And the number one thing that you should be looking at is Bitcoin and cold storage. Duchess says, Sailor said on Swan today that regulated Bitcoin is safer and less volatile Bitcoin. But I think what is important is that smart, non-hostile regulate. Yeah, I agree with that. Smart, non-hostile regulation is the most important. Fully agree with that. And thankfully, we have a president coming in the US that is very Bitcoin and crypto friendly. By the way, Goof Morning, Jor and Arnie. Arnie was here for the majority of the show today. He's gone. Oh, we had another Zap come in here. Sorry, I missed it. We had another 1,000 Zaps come in through the Arnie's wallet. So this is the YouTube Zap stream. It shows up on the phone here. So we've had 3,000 sats come through there this morning. So thank you for that. Okay. What else we got here? I've nowhere to, that's a problem. Why says I've nowhere to put 2 of the 3 hardware wallets and I trust nobody. So what I would say to that, Wyatt, is you could get a cold card, get a Jade, and just set up a multi-signature wallet, not multi-signature, set up passphrase on top of that. That's the best thing to do if you don't have anybody in your life that you trust with your devices, is just set up a passphrase or have a decoy wallet. And I mean, I probably shouldn't be talking about decoy wallets because it's going to become more known. But at the same time, it's like, how people would have to, if you do it properly, let's say you have a decoy wallet, you have an old Trezor that you're using right now, you get yourself the Bitcoin Journey pack from QuickBit. So you got that, that's your new main storage, get that in steel. And so you take your Trezor or your Ledger and you put about 5% of it on there. That's what you put in your safe. So if somebody breaks into your house, where's the first place they're going to? Is the safe. So they see your Trezor there. They see you got some Bitcoin on there. You move it, you lose 5% of your Bitcoin. It sucks. But you still have the 95% hidden somewhere else in the house that isn't the safe, that isn't the obvious place. And that's where you keep the majority of your Bitcoin. MicroStrategy is the only thing that outperforms Bitcoin. Yes. Yes. Truth. And that's the other thing you have to keep in mind about MicroStrategy. Even though we just talked about the 5x premium there, let's say that falls. And the thing you have to keep in mind with MicroStrategy, if you're comparing it to a Bitcoin ETF, is that MicroStrategy, the value of the company is like stripped down without the premium, without the yield, without all the things that they're doing. Stripped down is the value of the Bitcoin that they're holding, which is essentially what an ETF is. So they basically have MicroStrategy has a little bit of debt that they're going to have to pay in 5 or 6 years from now. But stripped down, the floor is the same for MicroStrategy and an ETF, right? Because the ETF is just holding Bitcoin. That's the value of it, the Bitcoin that they hold. And MicroStrategy, if you strip everything else down, that the value of MicroStrategy is the Bitcoin that they hold. So that's the floor for both. But the ceiling for the ETF is also the price of Bitcoin, the Bitcoin that they're holding. The ceiling for MicroStrategy, on the other hand, is there is no ceiling. There's no ceiling on Bitcoin, and there's no ceiling on the MicroStrategy shares. BitBilly, I'm sorry, I love you, Jor, but please don't sell the MicroStrategy. I'm not. I'm not. I almost sold somebody the other day, but I was questioning Saylor. I had a really bad feeling about him for a day, but I talked myself out of it. I was concerned about his family, but I thought he was lying, but it turned out was not. And I was concerned about his conversation with Scottie Pippen about Satoshi, but I also found out the truth of that. So that's why it's a good idea, just especially if you have a YouTube show, just hold off on your, but it's tough though, because like people show up here every day to hear what's going on today, not what happened 3 days ago. So of course I'm going to be wrong about some things. Don't ever make decisions based on what I talk about on the show. Do your own research with everything, verify things yourself. And you can't blame me for anything. I'm just some dummy with a YouTube show and a really cool dog. Right? Oh, thank you, Duchess, for Arnie and the YouTube algos. Those help. You know what? And I kind of mentioned it earlier in the show, but like I never ask for super chats or anything, but man, they do make a difference. Even if it is $1, $2, like that is the things that actually get these videos in front of more people. So I appreciate that for Duchess and from Red Rider BB Gun today. I thought this said Epstein's. Brennan says Einstein's thoughts and ideas had no intrinsic value or industrial uses. Therefore, they're all worthless. Ideas are going to zero. Yeah, isn't it funny? Isn't it funny that we go through the school system where we're taught that this Einstein guy was the genius who basically gave us everything that we have today. And the actual guy, Nikola Tesla, had all these ideas that were just muffled between frequency and free energy and all these things that could unlock a completely different world. But we're focused on Einstein. Einstein is very fiat. Tesla is very Bitcoin. But the crazy thing about that, and I love talking about this, especially an hour 47 into the show here. There's 80 people in here still. So I want you to think about this though. If you're thinking about Einstein, if you're thinking about Tesla, when Tesla died, we know what some people do. Most people here know the Tesla free energy, the frequency, the 369. Everything that Tesla had was very much hidden from the public. But when Tesla died, do you know who got all of his documents, all of his findings? John Trump. John Trump, Trump's uncle. MIT guy. He got all of his secrets, all of Tesla's findings. And Trump actually mentioned this at the Bitcoin conference 2024 in Nashville. He talked about his Uncle John and his contributions to MIT. And I don't think he would just randomly come up with that. So you think about Tesla, you think about Satoshi, you think about Bitcoin, you think about Trump. People think that Trump has just been pandering to Bitcoiners to get their votes. No. This thing is a long time in the making. This thing is very well thought out. And this thing has 1 million miles to go before it even starts. It's crazy. It's crazy. And if you don't believe me, go listen to the Trump speech at Bitcoin 2024 and listen to what he says about his Uncle John. And then look for yourself. Search who got Tesla's findings after he died. Music duets. Look at that. What's up, George? Greetings from Amsterdam. Wow. Wow. I was just in Amsterdam. Well, not just, but in the summertime. I liked Amsterdam. I didn't love it, but it was kind of a cool city. It's like the Vegas of Europe, I would say. Very, very Americanized, very busy, very hectic, but very cool too. Very cool place. Am I taking some profits or am I just hodling? Well, you know what? That's the nice thing too, is like if you think about Bitcoin, if you think about MicroStrategy, that's another, I mean, we could spend 5 hours talking about Bitcoin and MicroStrategy and how they complement each other, the risks, the benefits. But like the thing that I'm doing here and what I'm kind of planning on doing is I have some MicroStrategy shares and I have Bitcoin. And I'm planning to keep a portion of my MicroStrategy shares forever, just like I'm going to keep my Bitcoin forever. But the profits, I won't have any issue selling a MicroStrategy share. I have issues selling my Bitcoin. Just like you don't trade something real for something fake. You never swap Bitcoin for fiat just to have it, to take profits. If you need it, that's a different story. If you've been saving it for something and you want to buy, a new quad or a new truck or a new house, that's different. But if you're just trading Bitcoin into fiat, that doesn't make any sort of sense. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but BitBilly. Thank you. Charlie Dunn says that Einstein is an actor. I agree with that too. I strongly agree with that. I mean, once you realize that pretty much everything we learned growing up was a lie and start there, then the world makes a whole lot more sense, which is wild. But it's quite a shock to the system. It's quite a shock to your I mean, you get called a crazy person too. That's why, the 2025, 2026 and beyond are just going to be so incredible. And, people are going to wish they bought Bitcoin now or a couple years ago. And it's going to be better than anybody can even imagine. I put Bitcoin is about to explode because when it hits 100K, it's going to explode. It already has exploded. It's up 150% this year. The fiat system is crumbling. The fiat system is full of leaks. And you're comparing that to a perfect system called Bitcoin, an open, transparent, honest ledger, this decentralized 20,000 nodes around the world that's going to be growing, and with a fixed supply. So, the fiat price will go up. But what's really happening here is that Bitcoin is repricing the whole world. That's it. That's all that's happening. Obviously, it's growing in demand, growing in adoption, which helps it, which boosts it. But at the end of the day, like, Bitcoin is just simply repricing every other asset on earth, because what we have been pricing things in is US dollars, a currency with no fixed supply, an unlimited supply, and an unknown supply. And so when you really stop and think about it, how could you compare anything to that? How could you measure anything against an asset that we don't know how many exist? You can't make that comparison. It doesn't make any sense. And that's why this whole system is broken, because we've been measuring everything off a broken currency. So Bitcoin solves that. We know how many Bitcoin there are today. We know how many Bitcoin there's going to be in 20 years from now. And you can accurately measure things against Bitcoin and plan and predict into the future because of the known supply schedule. So that's why houses are going down compared to Bitcoin. That's why gold's going down compared to Bitcoin. Ethereum is going down a lot against Bitcoin. It's just how things are. Nothing we can do about it other than talk about it and bring it to, more people's minds. 369, that's a key to the universe. That was Nikola Tesla. And if you, so I mean, obviously people are kind of on board with what I'm talking about right now, but if you got some time today before the Fractal Bitcoin show this afternoon, go watch the Robert Breedlove series, or not series, Robert Breedlove interview with G Money. It's on Robert Breedlove channel. It says like Bitcoin, Q, Trump, a few other things. Go watch that. They talk about Tesla, they talk about John Trump, and they talk about what's happening here. Some of it's a little bit far-fetched, but I believe it. I do. And that's what got me into Bitcoin, actually, was the fact that I knew that even though Trump was coming out and saying that it was a scam, it was a joke, I knew that this whole thing had been planned for a very long time. And if you think about it that way, like if you understand Bitcoin and you understand the fact that there's benefit, Bitcoin wouldn't benefit any bad actors out there, right? So if you think the government came up with Bitcoin because they want to control the world, it doesn't work that way. Whoever invented Bitcoin, whoever released Bitcoin to the world, did it with good intentions, because there's no way that it could benefit a centralized control structure. None. There's no way. Zero chance. So it doesn't matter who Satoshi is or who came up with Bitcoin. The intentions are what matter. And it's not possible for there to be any ill intentions with the way Bitcoin is designed. And once you understand that, and once you understand it, and I've seen this play out in the last 4 years, almost exactly like I thought it was going to. It took a lot longer, obviously, and I think that's what got so many people away from that whole thing. But everything that they've been talking about in there has happened. So you can't argue that. Objectively, you can't argue that. Badger, great to catch you live. I've seen you in the chat a couple times, Badger, in our afternoon shows, the replays. I've been trying my best to be in those chats, but it's kind of tough. Are we going to see a big dump? No, we're going to see a big explosion after 100K. That's when everybody's going to start paying attention. 98,571 right now. I'm hoping that we hit 100K on the live stream today. What happens when a nuke goes off? We have never been closer from Russia. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's definitely not something I'm worried about. It would just be stupid. That stuff doesn't make any sense to me. Everybody's obsessed with nuclear war, the impacts of that. No, what would be the sense of doing that? Plan on a functioning society. Pranav, what a time to be alive, no doubt. No doubt. And if it dumps after 100K, it is a buying opportunity that won't last very long. I agree with that. It's the thing, the dumps are going to be much smaller dumps, because the foundation is way too solid. Badger says, do you have any other planned interviews with BTC commentators? I mean, we got Fractal Bitcoin today. I did one with Robin yesterday. It's going to be released next week. And other than that, no. My channel is still very small compared to a lot of Bitcoiners out there. I'm a very unknown Bitcoiner still. So I don't have a whole bunch of people banging down my door to get me on there. But I mean, even Rajat and Robin's channels are fairly big. So those are both really good for the channel itself and helping me, get out there a little bit more. So anyways, I think this is a good time to wrap it up. Keep her under 2 hours today. Where should we leave things today? Fractal. Make sure everybody shows up for that. Let's set a new record on his channel today. So that's going to be at 4 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be Fractal Bitcoin, Chris, Jerry from Jerry Loves Freedom, and myself. And we're just going to sit and talk about Bitcoin. We don't have any sort of agenda, just like today's show. And we're going to have a lot of fun. That's the one thing I like showing up to Chris's live streams, because they're a lot of fun. And I'm going to make I don't think he's watching this. I think he's probably still asleep. He's in West Coast, I believe, West Coast time or Mountain time. But I'm going to make a proposal to him today live on the show. So if you want to see what that proposal is, I'm interested. I haven't mentioned it at all. I haven't given him any sort of warning for this, but I'm going to make a proposal to him and see what he says. I want to see his, I was going to text him or email him about it, but it's much funner to actually say it when you can see their face, just so you get a good indication of what they actually think. So make sure you show up for that. It's going to be fun. Gregor says, are you doing much to celebrate once we get to 100K? Yeah, so actually, funny you asked that. There's a guy, pretty much the only guy I know in my life that was in Bitcoin at the same time as me, like one of my buddies. And so he calls me like once every couple months, and we talk for like 2 hours, 2-3 hours. I know as soon as I see his name on the phone that I'm going to be there for a while. But him and I mean, we've been through, we kind of went through the last bull run together, and then we've seen 4 years of lots of agony. Because you have to keep in mind here that last bull run, when I left my job, I was in a much different financial position than I am today in terms of the Bitcoin and crypto holdings. I mean, when I left my job, I thought I was going to be set for a very long time. I wouldn't have to worry about money again. And same with him. He had even more than me. And both of us, our portfolios went down in Bitcoin terms 80% at a time. But a lot of the altcoins that we were holding went down 95% and have yet to recover. So it's been tough. It's been a very wild ride. And I mean, I see a whole bunch of new Bitcoin channels popping up, a bunch of new Bitcoin accounts popping up. But just like with my friend here that I'm talking about, you have to pay attention to the people who are doing this kind of stuff before Trump announced this, before the ETFs came, because those are the people who understand, you know, what's happening here, what's coming. And so with him, our plan is we talked about this at like when Bitcoin was 40K, but we said when it gets to 100K American, we're going to buy a very expensive bottle of wine and cook some ribeyes, and that's going to be our celebration. So obviously we're going to probably celebrate in this house here. I'll have a big dance party with Arnie maybe, or buy him something nice. But that's kind of like the main thing that I'm doing is we're just going to drink a bottle of wine and have some very nice ribeyes. And we're only $1,500 away from that happening. So it's pretty exciting. Pretty exciting. Captain Coban says 100K USD reminds us Canadians how bad our money is. Yep. She's toast. If you're Canadian, you're either holding Bitcoin or US dollars. Otherwise, you're melting. Okay. So just to wrap things up, if you are interested in getting one of the Jades from QuickBit, you can use the link in the show notes. And if you use the code 88SATS, it'll get you 15% off of that price. Plus, the first 8 people who get a device and the stamp seed kit and the bundle there, the first 8 people get a free session with me. We can go through, I can help you set it up, make sure you're not missing anything, or we can just chat. You can ask any questions, run through any scenarios about your own setup, your own specific Bitcoin strategy, and see what I think about it. So that's what I'm offering. I did not tell Dale or Leander I was going to do that, but I want to support them. They've been supporting me, so I want to give back to them. Do I have Spotify podcasts? I do, although they've been, yeah, that's a whole nother story. I've been pretty religiously uploading to Fountain and Spotify, but something happened. Like we were getting 100 people on there listening every day when the price was low. And now lately it's been like 20 people. So I might stop putting podcasts on. It's kind of a waste of my time, honestly. So, I mean, if you're listening to this on Spotify right now, if you made it to the 2-hour mark and you've been enjoying it on Spotify or Fountain, make sure you send a boost in, because I'm going to stop uploading the podcasts if Spotify is shadow banning me and nobody's, you know, supporting that way. So anyways, have yourselves a great weekend. Hopefully you'll join us for the Fractal Bitcoin chat this afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern time. You can send, if you want to send some value to the show, you can send it to Arnie's wallet with the QR code, or you can use the address right there. Adopted son 98@waldofsatoshi.com. Sign up as a journeyman, sign up as living the future. It is the best Bitcoin community, I think, that exists. And if you don't believe me, try it out yourself. All the information, everything you need to know in the show notes. Have a great weekend. We will see you at 4 p.m. Eastern time on Fractal Bitcoin's channel.